Welcome back to Ecom Growth Insider, the show where we break down what's actually working to scale D2C brands profitably. Today's guest is Max Sturtevant, founder of Copy, one of the biggest and fastest growing email and SMS agencies in the e-commerce industry. Max and his team work with 7 to 9 figure brands. He's managing the retention for over 130 different brands, and he has built a team of roughly 80 people to handle all of that. This episode is a straight-up retention masterclass. We get into the real levers that move revenue in email. While list growth is the number one priority, how Max thinks about pop-up conversion rates, offer testing, and the mystery discount strategy that can dramatically lift welcome flow and abandoned cart performance. And he has a take I fully agree with. Most brands don't need more segmentation. They need to send more consistently to their engaged list and stop overcomplicating things. If you run a Shopify store, this episode will definitely put more money into your pocket. Let's dive in. Hey Max, where in the world are you right now?
What up? I'm in San Diego right now in an Airbnb. I just got kicked out of my last Airbnb because of it was like some emergency construction, and they're like, "Hey, we got some emergency construction. You got to go find a new place in 3 days because we're kicking you out." So then I had to find a new Airbnb, and then now I'm here and I just got back here, settling in. But I'm in San Diego.
Damn, so not even your fault, not partying too hard?
Surprisingly, no. You see, you'd think so. And if you look at my place, you could even I can move this. There's literal party stuff in this place now. It's just so much crazy stuff. But no, it actually wasn't my fault, surprisingly.
Nice. Give people a quick overview. What do you do and who do you work with today?
Hell yeah, let's do it. My name's Max. I'm the founder of Copy. So email and SMS agency for e-com brands. We work with 7 to 9 figure e-com brands. We run their emails, text messages, and subscription programs to make them more money. So we work with right now about 130-ish brands right now. And we got a team of 80 now. And yeah, that's pretty much what we do. So just scaling brands with email and SMS.
130 brands is unbelievable.
Dude, it's a headache. But there are other agencies with thousands of customers. I don't know how they do it, but we're slowly, the more brands we add, the more oh shit, it gets more complex and more complex. And it's just it gets to just people, so many people that you're managing that it gets to be they're different. It depends on the type of agency that you want to build and the model that you go with, because there are some agencies where it's 5 clients, but we go super deep with them and it's performance based and do that. So there's that has its own headaches, and then there's the headaches of the route that we've went through, which is having a lot more brands, but you don't go as deep with them, so fulfillment's a little bit simpler. However, to scale, you have to really grow your head count, and you just got so many people. And so then it's just operational sort of internal stuff and things that you got to learn. And so kind of just got to pick your battles. And that's just naturally, that's how we've ended up with it. But yeah, it's a lot at times.
Yeah. Do you want to get to 1,000 clients more?
Oh, Lord have mercy. I sure hope not. That would be not in this specific model, but with the SaaS or whatnot, then absolutely. But actually running the emails, then that with our current setup, I mean, to have 1,000 clients, that would be, at least a 2,000 person head count, which would be crazy. But someday, maybe, I don't know. I never thought that I'd get to 100 clients with this. So who fucking knows? Maybe I can create something that's super automated with AI and then just sign a shit ton of people. But I don't know, honestly. Literally everything's just been in terms of how we've gotten to the current point, it's just been super natural. It's not I had this since I started, just this super dedicated plan and this 10-step plan of do this, and then we're going to be at 100 clients. It's just happened naturally, where every single day I'm just hey, let's keep growing, and I try my best to do that. And just it's kind of just happened naturally. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe, probably not, but we'll see.
Yeah. How did it all start for you?
It was so very natural, kind of. So I mean, when I was in high school, I started flipping sports cards over COVID because I was bored as hell, and I found my old cards and I started selling them, and I was like, oh shit, you could make money online. And so then I just got obsessed with that, just buying and selling cards online. That's how I got into the online business space and creating my own storefront and creating social media accounts to push myself, push my products and whatnot. And then I went off to college, and I didn't want to have pieces of cardboard worth $5,000 within my dorm room. So I was like, all right, well, what next? Went off to college, sold all my cards, and then kind of just like messed around at college for a semester. And then I was like, oh shit, I want to be doing more. Started doing crypto because I was like in the online business space and everybody was talking about crypto. It was 2021. So it was popping. So then I started doing crypto, started doing NFTs,
How did that
made
go?
100 grand, lost 120 grand. So it was net negative. But it was very fun and I learned a lot. And then I was just like, after that happened, I was like, okay, I need something more sustainable. And I naturally like knew what freelance marketing was. So I was just like, how can I be a freelance marketer? Came across copywriting, and just started doing copywriting. And I was like, all right, I'm a freelance copywriter. Within a couple months like I was just naturally doing a lot of email marketing for the brands that I was writing for. I was just like fucking ripping Upwork, just like, hey, I'm a copywriter all day, every day, just submitting proposals. And I was signing different people, brands. I was doing all sorts of different stuff, working with influencers, brands, all sorts of stuff. And for all of them, they just needed emails. So I was writing a lot of emails. And then naturally, like one of the brands I was doing everything for, and writing their emails, they're like, hey, we fired like our email marketing strategist and we're hiring one. Do you know anybody? And I was like, here, looking at him, I could do this shit. I'm an expert email marketer. I'd never been inside Klaviyo or anything. I was just writing the emails. But then they gave me a shot and then I was like, all right, I'm an email marketer. And then I just loved it. I remember I sent one campaign with an A/B testing a headline in that email, and one variation made like double the amount of money. One email made the variation made $10,000, and the other variation made $5,000. I was like, what the fuck? That's interesting. That's fun. So then I just became obsessed with it. So then I started marketing myself as a freelance email marketer. And so by the time like I really took copywriting seriously, that was probably like May 2022 is when I started to really take it seriously. And then I was making like, I got to 10K a month pretty fast, in like 5-ish months or so, I'd say. And so that was sick. So then I just kept doing that, did that for about a year, being in-house email marketer, for a couple different brands, at a few different 8-figure brands, and did that for about a year, just learning. And then I got to a point where it's like, I'm confident in myself, and I want to start building a team. I want to start working with more brands. So then Well Copy was birthed at around like the beginning of 2023. And then I was like, all right, I got to get clients. Upwork isn't working. Just because Upwork was so like project based, like people post on Upwork, like, hey, it's a job posting platform for anybody who doesn't know. It's just like, hey, I'm looking for email marketer to build out my flows and shit. And I got lucky with like a couple of the brands on there who I was able to get on retainer, but I needed something else. So then I started doing cold email, joined Client Ascension, and then everything kind of coaching program, which teaches cold email and just how to run an agency. And then everything kind of just like grew from there. So beginning of 2023, I started Well Copy. So ended 2023 with like 10 clients, and probably like maybe 3 team members, maybe like freelance sort of style. And the whole time I was posting organic content. And then by the end of 2023 to the beginning of 2024 is when my content really started to pick up steam and clients actually started to sign for my content. And I was like, holy shit. And at that time, cold email was starting to become really, really difficult, and for e-com. And I just started signing clients off content. And in 2024, so then I stopped cold email and just doubled down on content. And so end of 2023, finished with like 10 clients. And then by the end of 2024, had like 50 clients, and like 20 team members. And then by the end of 2025, this past year, finished with like 120-ish clients and 60 team members, roughly. So it all just happened naturally. And yeah, it's kind of like the whole story.
That's some solid growth there. What would you say? What was the hardest part about like going from freelancer to like real business owner?
The hardest part is always getting clients. Like that's always the difficult part. That's always the difficult part, but kind of happened naturally for me with content, where I was just posting content all day, every day, and I just committed to the long-term success of posting content. So the hardest part for anybody is getting clients. It's the only reason why I've been able to grow to this point is from just like my content just started working. but I knew like through it, as I was creating the content, I never really expected to get clients off content. Like the first platform that started working was YouTube. And my whole goal with YouTube, and nobody was really doing email marketing YouTube. There was one guy, but nobody was really doing it. And my whole goal of the whole goal of YouTube videos, me starting to post YouTube videos, was to prove to people that I was cold emailing that I'm a fucking real person, and just to differentiate myself and share my strategies. And so it was just like I would post YouTube videos, and after I'd book a call off cold email, or if somebody responded to my cold email, I'd just send them to my YouTube channel, just being like, hey, look, like I'm a real fucking person, and I have good ideas, good strategies. So that was the whole goal. And then I was posting on Twitter as well. And the whole goal of posting on Twitter was just like to meet other people in the space, because I was in college and I didn't know anybody doing email marketing. So the whole goal of Twitter was just like, let me meet other people doing this and let me like learn from other people. So then I started posting, and it was super fun. And I never viewed it as like getting clients. It's just like, here's my knowledge. Like if I get clients, cool. But like really, it's just more like I'm going to send potential clients in my sales process to this content. And then by then 2024, people just started finding my YouTube. So then I was like, okay, shit, maybe I got to double down on this even more. So then I started putting more time into it. So that's always the hardest part for most people. For me, it kind of happened naturally, so it wasn't too difficult. I'd say the real hardest part for me was giving up control because like I had to stop doing everything myself in order to, because like the only way that I was going to grow would be to do more content, because we're signing clients on content. And so if I want to sign more clients, why don't I just double the amount of content that I'm doing? But I was already working 12 hours a day. So it's like I have to give up control over like my clients and the strategy and everything. And so that was the most difficult part, was giving that up, and then getting people inside that I trust to manage the accounts. So that was the really difficult part, where it took a lot of training for one specific person that I eventually trusted to take over accounts, to at least free my workload. So it started off not me. I never started off and hand somebody a whole Klaviyo account. Here's like the whole client, like you got everything, peace. It's like little by little. So I brought somebody in with like little experience, but they were hungry to learn. And I just they started to learn thing by thing. So they started copywriting. And then, so I had them just writing the emails to free that up from my time. And then after they got that down, it's like, okay, now let's start doing campaign strategy. They got that down. Then it's like, okay, let's get you involved in client communication. They got that down, and slowly they started to just like take more off my plate. So it was a gradual process with this one specific person. And then eventually they got it off. So it wasn't like immediate, but slowly built up trust to where I could hand accounts to them. And then all I'm doing is meeting with them on a one-on-one once a week, and just making sure things across the accounts are going smoothly. But that was the most difficult part, and the part that took me the longest to do. And yeah, that's what I would say the big difference between the hardest part for me going from freelancer to actual agency owner and hiring more clients, was giving up that control. Because I was like, nobody can do it as bad. Nobody can do this as good as me. Like, these are my clients. Like, my strategies, like nobody can do it as good as me. And you know what? I'm fucking right. And everybody's right. Nobody can do shit as good as you. Like Andre, like with your clients, like nobody can run accounts as good as you in your eyes, in your opinion. Like obviously I think I'm the best in the world at email marketing because it's based off of my ideas and how I think good is. And so the thing is like that I had to get over, and I heard it on like a podcast. It's just like, hey, 80% of the way there is 100% awesome. Where I was like, you know what? Maybe everything doesn't need to be 100% up to my standards, because my standards aren't necessarily right. It's not like I'm fucking email marketing Jesus. It's like there are multiple different ways to do it. And so the biggest thing for me was I wanted accounts to be managed exactly how I would manage them. But I was just pulling my hair out in frustration, just like, why the fuck are we not doing this? Why aren't we doing this? Like, we should be doing this. And it just caused a lot of pain. But it's kind of like by force, I had to just be like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, do what you think. Do what you think with the account, and just follow like my base strategies. And I just gave up some control. And you know what? It wasn't as good as me, but the client liked it better, because it wasn't as good as me in my eyes, because it's my way of doing things. Of course, I'm going to think my way of doing things is better. But then the client is like, dude, things are going so much better. Like I like what you guys are doing now. I actually didn't tell the client that it was this other person doing the work. I told them like it was still me, and they're like, dude, the strategy, I don't know what happened like last month, but like I'm loving what you're doing now more. I was like, what the fuck? Like, and so that was like a big wake up call for me, is like, it was like, it's not all like, of course you in your own mind are going to think that you're the best, but the thing is you might not be. And so nobody's going to 100% live up to exactly how you do things. Nobody's ever going to do that. So just try to shoot for 80% of the way there. And even if it is 80% as good as you, that's fine. That's fine. That's A-okay. The client might not even notice, or that might not be even be the difference. But also, you're 100%, like another person's 80% in somebody else's eyes, like the client liked that better than my shit. And so it's like, you just got to give that up and accept that, hey, it's not going to be exactly how I would do it, or exactly, I might not even think it's nearly as good as what I could do. Of course, like you got to have standards and make sure it live up to your standards. But point being on this little yap is you can't expect somebody to do things exactly the way that you do it. And once you give up that control and just be like, hey, you know what? This is 80% of the way there, 80% how I would do it. Perfect. Roll with it. And then you'll free up a lot of your time and stress, and your results will could potentially be better, as long as the person that you're working with is competent and decent.
Yeah. That's also the thing that I've struggled with the most in the past, and also to some degree even today. That is still very difficult to give away control, because, as you mentioned, you always think you know it better. You always think you're the best at getting results and knowing what the customer wants or the client wants. But it's not always the case.
And that's not just like a decision one day you wake up with it and it's like, okay, I'm cool with everything now, because I still struggle with it. It's a reminder every single day. Like I'm probably the fucking worst person at it still. Because it's like, for example, like my content, like I still don't give up my content. I still have that limiting belief of, so it's like an internal, it's always like a battle that you're going to have with yourself. Like for me, it's like my content is like, I want to keep producing more content, but I only have so many hours in the day. And so it's like, you got to give it up. You got to give it up. So it's like, I think it's something that everybody struggles with like forever, because you want things to be done your way and it's hard to give up control. But you just got to ask yourself, if like your goal is fucking like you want to be 10x your current size, you just have to imagine yourself in that 10x position, however many years down the line it is. What are your responsibilities on a day-to-day basis? Are you really going to be managing ad accounts? It's like, no, you're not. So why not just give it up now? Why not just do it now, so you can build systems that can grow? And so that was one thing. I read a book called 10x is easier than 2x, and it changed my life. And that was right when this started to happen. And that was beginning of 2024-ish, when I was still like controlling everything. And now we're at like 20, 30 clients, and I like can't be doing everything, but like I need to give it up if I want to keep growing. And it's a really good book. I recommend everybody reads it. I read it every so often, flip through it. It's very nostalgic for me too. I love that book. But essentially, like the main thing that it teaches is just like 10x is easier than 2x. Like if you think 10x, it's easier to grow 10x than it is to grow 2x, because to grow 2x, you're competing in a world with other people growing 2x. And so, for example, Andre, like what would it be for you to like 2x your business? Okay, it's probably just like, okay, I probably got to hire a couple people here, keep doing what I'm doing, but like do more of it. And maybe like use more ad spend, maybe build out this other funnel, whatever. The problem is everybody who runs a fucking ad agency is doing that, and they think like that. What if you asked yourself, what would I need to do to 10x? And then it's like, there are really only, because there are a million paths to 2x. There are a million ways that you could 2x your business. But how many ways are there to 10x your business? And so it's actually easier, because there's really only a couple paths to 10x your business. There are millions of paths to 2x your business. And so that's kind of like what it teaches, and like the philosophy around it is like, hey, how would you 10x if you were going to do it? Because there's really only like a couple things that you probably could do to theoretically do that within 2 years. And you know what? Like you might not 10x, but you might 5x by thinking that way. So it's just like the whole thought process is there's much less competition if you think 10x, but there's a fuck ton of competition if you think 2x. So that's something that I always have to remind myself every day, and it's something that I have as one of my saved lock screen is think 10x is just like you can't conversion rate optimize your way to a fucking 10x. Like you can't 10x your close rate. You can't 100x your close rate, but you can 100x the amount of leads you get to book calls. that's like a 10x example. Like you could try to you could try to micro optimize your close rate to get it from 20% to 30%. Or what if you just fucking 10x the amount of leads you get? That it doesn't fucking matter what your close rate is. So just thinking about that was one thing that was that I did at that point, or that I thought of at that point, and that I still have to continue to remind myself and still struggle with. But it made me just be like, you know what, like if I'm going to 10x, I can't be doing this. I got to give it up now. So fuck it. And then you just give it up, and then you trust in yourself that you're going to figure it the fuck out. Because oftentimes there's usually like, there's a tough point where it's like, you could keep doing what you're doing. Say you're at like 50K a month. Maybe we could say like 100K a month. No, let's say like 50K a month. Say you're at 50K a month, you're at like 50% margins. And so you're making like 25K a month. It's like, you could keep doing what you're doing and probably like be chilling. Like if you want to like just live off that, like that's great. But in order to really grow, you have to free up your time and you have to invest like 15K. So you have to eat into your margins. That's like the problem with like growing, is you have to eat into your margins for a short period of time and bet on yourself to figure it the fuck out. So that was like a difficult thing, like at many different steps in the business, is you have to eat into your margins and then bet on yourself. Like, for example, when I hired a closer to start taking sales calls, it was like, I didn't want to do this because, bro, I'm going to have to be paying this closer, like based on the amount of deals I'm closing, I'm going to be paying him 10 to 20K a month. That's like 10 to 20K a month out of my fucking pocket. Like, fuck. And so I didn't do it for the longest time. Cause it's like, I don't want to do that. But then you get to a point where it's like, you have to, and then bet on yourself. So it's like, yes, I'm going to eat into my margins in the short term, but you know what? I'm paying 10K to 20K a month to this guy right here. And in the short term, that's coming out of my pocket, but I'm betting on myself with the time that I get back. So the 4 hours of time that I just got back, I'm betting on myself that I'm going to be able to bring more than 10K to 20K a month of outsized returns to pay for itself. And so there's always that period where you have to dip into your margins and bet on yourself to figure it the fuck out. And then if you fail, sometimes you will fail and you got to like backtrack. But as long as so that's happened like a couple times where you just have to make that next step. You have to bet on yourself to figure it out. I don't even remember the original question, but that was just like a little rant.
Yeah, no, that is so valuable. But basically, yeah, focusing on the long-term potential ROI of like buying the time back by spending that money and knowing that long-term you'll benefit more from that.
Exactly. And it's like, that's what you have to fucking take risks. Like it's, you have to take those risks or else you're just going to stay stuck forever. Like you got to light a fire under your ass with something like that. Like for me, like starting to pay 10K to 20K a month out of pocket, like it lights a fire under your ass to be like, fuck, now I'm paying this dude. Like I gotta make this back, rather than just like, oh no, let me just chill and coast and like do this. But like if you always force yourself to do that, it forces you to really work harder and do other shit and find other shit that will make you the money back. And so I think it's important because you get very comfortable, and I struggle with it all the time still. But it's just always a reminder that you have to tell yourself.
Yeah. Also really liked what you said about you can't conversion rate optimize yourself to like a 10x. That's what we tell our clients all the time, because we obviously focus on paid ads, but also just growing brands in general. Mm-hmm. And we oftentimes have clients that want to like 5x their revenue, 10x their revenue. And then they spend a lot of time focusing on some like small tweaks, some conversion rate optimization, getting their website to convert from 2.1 to 2.3%, even though it will never get them to the 5x, 10x that they want to achieve. Exactly. And they should focus on completely different things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the same thing for our clients. It's like, bro, we could like clients who are just micro obsessing over like tiny little sentences of copy in a random testimonial email, versus like, dude, our time when we're doing all these like micro revisions, that's taking away from doing offer tests that can 3x your conversion rate within like the welcome flow, for example. Like we just had one client where we took their welcome flow conversion rate, and top of form conversion rate. Essentially, we're getting them same ad traffic, but 4 times the amount of revenue coming in from the email list off of that. And then like it made their ads like way more profitable. And it's like, we were only able to do that because the client wasn't obsessing over the tiniest details in campaigns and like stupid little shit, but that's the shit that can really move the needle. And then that offer test that we did in the welcome flow, now they're running ads around it too. And it's like, oh my God, this is the offer that wins. This is the framing that works. This dollar off plus this free gift, like for some reason, and this product framing, like for some reason that works. Those are the high levers that can really like move the needle. So it's thinking in orders of magnitude, thinking in 10x and not 10%, which obviously it sounds fucking stupid when you say it out loud, but it's like, no, it's like just thinking that frame of mind. It's just like, is this a 10x sort of thing? Like, what are the high levers? And so like for me, it's like, what are the 10x for me? Like, it's like just fucking push more content and get more people to see me. Like that for me is like what 10x is. It's like, how could I get, I could obsess over working with my closer and getting him from a 25% close rate to a 30% close rate. Or why don't I just try to make sure that everybody who owns Shopify has seen my face before. Like that, it's not going to matter. Like little micro increases in my funnel if everybody knows who the fuck I am. So that's how I try to think of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now let's shift a little bit to the e-commerce side of things. I mean, you guys get crazy results for your clients. Walk us through your like high level approach when it comes to retention. Like for you, like what matters the most?
100%. Yeah. So obviously it's going to depend like on the brand. But really like email marketing is super simple at its core. And it's just like with anything, like 80% of the results are driven by 20% of the things. And so for us, it's just like, hey, let's focus on the high levers first. And then we're going to worry about these subject line tests that clients fucking obsess over. But it's like, okay, like we don't, unless we have a pop-up form that's absolutely dialed, an offer that's absolutely dialed. We have all of our core flows with multiple emails in each one, like 3 to 4 emails per core flow. And then we're sending consistent campaigns 3 to 4 times per week. And we have good deliverability. Then I don't care about any sort of like micro sort of optimization. So it's like, we need to get that set up first. So it's just all about the high levers. Like I can go into an account and if they only send 2 campaigns per week, we increase it from 2 campaigns to 4 campaigns per week. We're going to make them a fuck ton more money. And so it's just like, okay, let's focus on that first. And so it's just like the bare minimum for me, in my opinion, when I review accounts is pop-up form that's dialed. I don't like to give a specific KPI for pop-up forms because it really depends on traffic and the customer. Like for example, like German stores, their pop-up forms are going to convert less naturally than a US-based store because the German market, they don't like pop-up forms as much and they opt in at a less rate. But like typically for most brands, we like to be at like 10% plus. I don't like to also say 10% because there's some brands where I review their pop-up form and it's at 10%, but it should be at fucking 25%. It just depends on your audience and your customer, but it's like follow best practices in your pop-up form based on like what we know works. Typically we want it to be like 10% plus. So dialed pop-up form, it is the most important thing. It is what will make you the most amount of money. We come into brands on average, we 2.7x their pop-up form conversion rate, which, you know, it sounds good, but like you don't truly like conceptualize that. That is 2.7 times the amount of people on your email list. Like imagine having a 1 million person email list versus a 2.7 million person email list. Like that, do you think you're going to make a fucking stupid amount more money with that 2.7 mil? Like, yes. And so it's like, but pop-up forms like don't get a lot of attention. Like you should be A/B testing your pop-up form every single week. That's like if you're running a running a high level account, like that's what you should be doing. But like pop-up forms are like the biggest thing. And so there's that. And then of course, like core flows, just need to have those. The biggest lever with your core flows, just make sure you have 3 to 4 emails in each one. Make sure you're not being stupid about it and you follow best practices. So like the welcome flow, 4 emails, make sure you're reminded the discount in every email. Make sure you have urgency at the end. Abandonment emails, wait 30 minutes before the first email. That's the best time. And then make sure you send an email every single day. Like that sort of stuff, like some of the core stuff. And then campaigns, just send 3 to 4 times per week. You could literally send a blank email with just a shop now button. You're going to make sales. So I'm less focused on let's do the most hyper optimized content. It's just like, let's get content out. And then once we get in a groove, Now let's focus on really like testing these styles and concepts that we really think can perform. And so that's really how I like to think about it. And then it's going to depend on like store size as well. So once we get to like the 8-figure brand, then we want to increase our campaigns to like 5 times per week. If we're at 9 figures, then you need to be sending every day. If you're at 8 figures, you need to be doing a little bit more segmentation in your flows, and then same as 9 figures. It just really depends on the level. But like if I could summarize my philosophy, it's just like get the bases in place because they drive 80% of the revenue, and then let's start layering in more A/B testing and core strategies. But get your bases in first; they drive the most revenue.
Nice. And I mean, once you have the basics and once you have the volume of emails that you're sending, you also start getting the data that will allow you to optimize. Because otherwise you'll
Exactly.
spend like hours tweaking something, optimizing something without even knowing whether it will work.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just like you just gotta, especially like early on, like with clients, like sometimes we come into accounts with like nothing or they have like a few missing holes. It's like focus on what's going to make you the most money first. It's like always that. Like we used to do a very templated approach where every single client coming in, like this is how we do things. We do this flow, then this flow, then this flow, and then we launch these campaigns, and then we do these flows. And it's like a very templated like first 60 days. But we stopped doing that about a year ago because it's like sometimes that doesn't make sense for a brand. You got to start off with the highest leverage. Like, why would we start with the welcome flow if the welcome flow is performing well, but the brand's missing like an immediate post purchase flow? Where in our old way of doing things, that would be done on day 40. Well, like, should we create a new welcome flow that I think will increase conversions by 25%, or insert this post purchase flow, which is going to increase conversions by X amount? So it's just things you have to assess, and it's always just like, what's the highest leverage first? Let's make the most amount of money, especially with new brands. And as an agency, you want to get as many quick wins as possible right off the bat. So that's like how we changed our philosophy. So now it's a very custom onboarding every single time. Makes it a little bit more complex in the sales process because we just have to be like, we have to build out a roadmap for every client, a custom roadmap in the sales process where it's like, we have to run an audit and then a roadmap. And so it makes it more complex, but it's more fruitful compared to, having like a more templated approach. But yeah, very important.
Yeah. And I assume it hugely depends on the brands that you're working with. But what are some of the best like offers and pop-ups that you're seeing right now?
Yeah, for sure. So the pop-up forms, like we use Alia pop-ups for all of or we recommend every brand gets on Alia, Shopify pop-up app. Really good. So ideally, if we can get onto Alia, that would be amazing. But we do quiz-based pop-ups, some sort of engagement-based pop-up. So we don't ask for the email address right off the bat. It's just like played out. The customer, like, you see a pop-up form and it goes straight to email. Customers are like, fuck you, I don't want to give you my email. And so instead, it sounds counterintuitive, but you actually need to add more work for the customer. You engage with them first. You don't ask for email right off the bat. You do a pop-up and you could just ask them a question. You could do something as simple as, hey, do you want 25% off? Yes or no? And if this person's doom scrolling on the toilet while taking a shit, and you put in there, they click an ad and they see, do you want 25% off? Yes or no? They're like, fuck yeah. They click yes. And then you ask for email. It seems counterintuitive adding another step, but this triggers commitment bias in humans. So when somebody first sees that pop up, first step, and it's like, hey, do you want 25% off? And it's just yes or no. It's like, it's perceived as low barrier to entry. It's like, all I have to do is click this button. Whereas like instead of the alternative of 10% off, enter your email, customer sees that, it's like, that's a lot of work. But it's just like, yes or no. They click yes, and then you ask for email. And so then it triggers commitment bias in humans. Humans are much more likely to follow through with things that they've started because they don't want to waste energy. They don't want to be like, that was a waste of time. Like, I got to follow through with this. And so then they enter their email address. Then takes them to the next step, which says, finish signing up with text to activate your discount. So then it's like, fuck, I already gave these dudes my email. Like, might as well give them my phone number. Like, I'm already so close. So you always start off with an engagement step first. That's just what works well. And so we do quiz-based pop-ups. And so we ask some sort of question. So typically in most cases, it's like if it's a clothing brand, for example, we'll be like, hey, you've got 10% off. to claim your discount, tell us what you're shopping for. And then it's just 3 options: men's, women's, all styles. And so this does this acts the same as like the prior thing that I said, where it's just like, hey, do you want this discount? Yes or no? But it takes it a step further because it's customized towards the customer. The customer seeing this, they're like, oh shit, like it's custom to me. Hell yeah. So it's got that customization bias as well. And so the customer then answers the question. It's like, I'm shopping for men's. And then we ask, and then it asks for email, and the person's like, I already made it this far. Like, let me enter my email, and then they enter their SMS. And that's what converts the best. The nice thing about that as well is you can use that data and you tag that profile property to the customer. So I said I was interested in men's clothing. So what do you think that the welcome flow emails I'm going to receive are? They're going to be focused on, there's going to be men's clothing. I'm not going to show any women's clothing. Whereas the people who do women's, we're going to take them through a welcome flow that is just women's clothing. And so that's the pop-up forms that we see work well as far as structure. As far as offers, really depends brand to brand and what kind of brand you are. Subscription brands, for example, you see a lot of subscription brands do some crazy acquisition offer, which works well. So something like 40% off plus 3 free gifts. Like typically that's a very enticing offer. So that's something that you could do. For example, Armra, you could do no free gifts and just do like an increased discount on the first order of your subscription. So you could do like Armra, for example, like a lot of brands will do like, hey, 15% off if you subscribe. It's 15% off recurring. But what Armra does is they do 30% off your first subscription order and then 5% off recurring, which saves you margins long term because you're given more on that first purchase. You're given 30% off, but that's going to help convert more people on the front end. And then you're giving way less on the back end, 5% compared to 15%. And so you make it back within like 3 months, then everything is just like way less. And so that's something that you could do as well, which I love for subscription brands is an increased discount off the first subscription. Then let's just decrease the recurring cost, which I like to do. Other than that, I mean, just classic percent off or dollar off work great. If you're a high AOV brand, do dollar off. So for example, like we get brands coming in that they get their AOV is $2,000 and their pop-up form says, hey, I get 5% off your first purchase, which sounds stupid. Like 5% off, like that sounds like nothing. But what's 5% of $2,000? Like what are we really giving the customer? Well, 5% of $2,000 is $100. So we're giving these customers $100. Imagine if somebody went up to you on the street and said, hey, here's a $100 bill for your email address. This is a $20 bill, but like that is way more enticing than 5%. So for high AOV brands, you want to do like a dollar off offer. So instead, for that sort of brand, like anytime we implement that for a brand, take them from like 5% or 10% off to whatever the dollar amount equivalent is, and then set a minimum order threshold, then that works really well in pop-up forms, then also converting in the welcome flow. And so there's that. Just dollar off or percent off works well. But what we mess around with a lot is mystery discounts as well. So still a dollar off or percent off, but you just tell people on the pop-up form, hey, you've got a mystery discount. And then people are just like, what the fuck is this mystery discount? So they opt in just because they're curious, because it's like, it could be 50%, it could be 10%, it could be whatever. So we do that. It oftentimes performs better than a lower discount. Like if we have 10% off, typically what works better is a mystery discount. So in the pop-up form, we say, hey, you've got a mystery discount. Enter your email for your mystery discount. They enter it. Enter your phone number for your mystery discount. Okay, here's your mystery discount. It's 10% off. Still 10% off, but you just say it's a mystery discount. And so there's that. Sometimes we even take it a step further and we literally use code mystery at checkout to reveal your offer. Still 10% off, but it forces people to then be like, fuck, now I got to find an item, go to checkout to see what this is. And so in that process, they're going through the whole buying journey and finding a product that they like, and then they go to checkout, and then they apply the discount. Same discount as if we told them it was 10% off straight up, but look at how many steps we got this person to go down the funnel. Doesn't always work. For some brands, it really works, but those are like some of the offer structures that we use and that I recommend.
That's interesting. I never thought about the like mystery discount, like going as far as until the checkout process. I assume
it rips.
Yeah, I assume it will have a huge spike in like abandoned carts or abandoned checkouts, but at the same time, it can work really well because people already go so far.
Yeah, we try to, we literally 3x'd a brand's conversion rate by doing that. Like it was like on their welcome sequence, just by their welcome sequence 3x in conversions. Like that's business changing results by doing that. Like sometimes it just rips. That's why you always got to test these things. You got to just have them in your toolbox. But for example, what like always works is doing that mystery discount, same thing, but in your cart abandoned and checkout abandoned emails. So
Mhm.
say you go to a website and you just abandon a cart. A lot of brands will just do like, hey, you got 10% off your cart. Use code CART10. Um, but what we found is what we tested was, why don't we still give them 10% off, but let's do a mystery discount because they already have the item in their cart, in their checkout. They've already proven they like this. We just need to get them back to their checkout. And so let's do, hey, use code high-4x7G for a mystery discount. We put a mystery discount in your cart. Click here. It's right there. And we get so much higher conversions by doing that. And so it's now like a standard that we do for most of our brands is our abandoned cart and abandoned checkout discounts are all mystery discounts. And so it's usually about a double in click rate and about a 50% increase in total placed orders when we do that.
Wow. That's not bad.
Not bad. We'll take it.
Yeah. What do you think of those spin to win pop-up things?
Yeah, they do well, but they're just tacky. So I don't. We never really use them. Usually the quiz pop-ups perform better than spin to wins. So I don't remember a client that we've done a spin to win for. I just think it looks tacky. It can perform well, but like quizzes perform better and they're better for the brand, and we get data on the customer because they're telling us like whatever question we ask. So we don't really use them, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I lose all my trust in the brand if they
yeah,
have one of
exactly,
those.
exactly. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Have you ever tested like lead magnets or like stuff like that for e-commerce brands for the
Oh,
pop-up?
dude, they never work. They never work. They never work. Um, like they just don't. They just don't work. They just don't. I would love if they would work, but they just don't. Because we get a lot of brands coming in that are like, "Hey, we don't want a discount. Like, we want a value." And it's like, "Do you fucking hate money?" Like it's. I mean, that's like the real question. Just like, yeah, we are happy to do a non-discount, like fully no discounts, nothing, but like you're gonna make a lot less money. And it's like always it's like the only brands you see who don't discount, like everybody's always like, I want to be the fucking Lamborghini. I want to be like the Louis Vuitton of my niche. They don't discount. Well, it's like, yeah, because they've fucking been in business for like 50 years and they have this massive, do you really think that you're going to do that? Like, no, you're not. Like, do what fucking works. You look at all the fastest growing brands, the $0 to $100 million brands, they give up crazy discounts like that. It just works. Humans buy discounts. Like if you want to be a non-discount brand, then fuck yeah, power to you. You're just gonna make less money. If you don't care about money, then fuck yeah, let's do it. Um, but yeah, it's just something to consider. But we do. I've never really been able to get them to convert because they just get in the wrong customers. They just don't buy at a high rate. You can get more, but even then, I don't think people fucking care about lead magnets. Like, unless you're like, do people even care? Like, do consumers read lead magnets? Like, not really. And I could be wrong. And there are definitely ways to make it work. There are definitely ways in unique case. I'm not saying that like it's impossible to make it work. But for acquisition, I just don't think it works. I don't think a customer who just clicks on your ad, I mean, it depends on your product again, but I don't think a customer who just clicks on your ad really wants to read a 30-page PDF that you've put together that they're never going to read. There's like some stat out there, like what's the percentage of people who buy a course who don't complete the course? It's like 80%. It's the same thing for lead mags. These people aren't going to use it and it's irrelevant and it doesn't move them towards a purchase. What a discount does, at least, is it moves them towards the purchase because it's like there's urgency behind this discount and they took like an action. So that's something important to note. What you can mess with, what we have messed with, is doing like for people who we already have their email, hitting them with lead magnets once they go back to the website, or giving lead magnets in emails. That's what I recommend. It can work like for people who you already have their email address, they're on your email list. Like, let's offer them a lead magnet on our website. So you just change the targeting to only target people who are already on your email list, and then it's like give some sort of lead magnet with a ton of education. You can do that. I mean, I just don't get a ton of success. I just don't think the ROI is worth it. Like, you could do it, but like is it worth the time to do it? But like we have one brand, for example, they like we do it, but it just I don't see it convert as well. But like we have one brand, for example, they literally sell like $200,000 fucking like houses. Like they literally like build you a house, and we're doing emails. Like they drop it in your backyard. I forget what they're called. But like a lot of the people, like they run ads towards like how to build your own. Maybe it's like ADUs. I don't remember, but it's like how to get like an appraisal or something. Like that's a lead magnet that can work, like stuff like that. But I haven't seen too much success. Have you? Are there like specific brands you've seen do it that work with that sort of thing?
Not really. Not really.
Yeah,
We sometimes get clients ask us about that, and they ask us whether like they can like get rid of the discount for the email signups because they don't want to give the margin away, and want to like replace it with something like a lead magnet. But I'm always very, very skeptical
it's like
about it.
just look at your gross profit. It's like, yes, you're going to give up less like if you don't do a discount, like you're not giving up any margin, zero margin, but how much less sales are you making? And so it's like usually, or every single time I've run the test, when you do the discount, yes, technically, like if you look back at the last month, like we gave away $50,000 in discounts. But compared to the group that didn't give any discounts, they had fucking like $100,000 less gross profit because you just get less sales with it. So it's usually just not worth it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, in the end, what matters is the total profit that they get, and also the number of new customers that they acquire. Like, especially for subscription brands, if they do like a very aggressive front end offer, like maybe they'll make less profit right away, but they get so many customers from that, and the lifetime value
Exactly.
of those is
Yeah,
it's
you
still
just got to
worth
look
it.
at the lifetime gross profit. Like that's all that matters. Like you might lose money in the short term, but extend your horizons. Usually, like we have a brand right now, Gains in Bulk. They're doing it's the craziest offer I've ever seen. They're full third. So it's literally they sell creatine, and it's typically $39. They're doing what's called Creatine Revolution, where it's literally $1 to get the full 30 serving bag of creatine and free shipping. Like literally, your card just gets charged $1.
Wow.
So they're losing a fuck ton of money on the front end. But the bet is we can get people to 3 to 4 rebuilds. We can get X% of people, and then we're going to be profitable at that point. It's just like we're getting customers and spreading awareness.
So it's for subscriptions only?
Yeah, so
Assume?
it's subscription. Yep. So you subscribe to it. It's $1. You can cancel anytime, technically. But the goal is just like keep them subscribed, and you only need, I don't know the exact number, but say, for example, like they've done the numbers. Maybe like, for example, in order for it to be profitable, this cohort that buys, they need to get 25% of people to still be subscribed after month 3, for example. And then they're break even, and it's just house money at that point. So that's like kind of the mathematics that they're betting on. I made up those numbers. I don't know if they're accurate, but that's the sort of shit that I think is dope that a lot more brands need to do, getting creative with their offers and shit like that.
Yeah, that's such a good offer. We tried a similar, like a very like a low ticket offer for a supplement brand for the paid ads, but we didn't really get it to work because it wasn't a subscription, and we got a lot of people like at a very cheap customer acquisition cost into the door, but it was very difficult to get them to come back and reorder something else after they got their first order. Like a ton of
Yeah.
product for like a few dollars.
Yeah. The only way to make it work is, or the best way to make it work is just make sure you have your fucking upsells dialed. Cause like what they're doing, like it's $1, but like but their AOV is going to be like $20 or $30 actually, because it's $1, like you buy it and then there's one click upsells right after. It's like, hey, why don't you buy this as well? Why don't you buy this as well? Why don't you buy this as well? And you already have the customer's card on file because they build these funnels on like ClickFunnels. So you can do one click upsell. It's the ecom brand running out of ClickFunnels. And then you just one click upsell. So the person, $1, fuck yeah, here's the creatine. And the thank you page is like, here's this special offer. Get this ultimate stack for $20. Literally all you have to do is click here. This $20 stack is like X% off or whatever. And then it's like they just made more money. So it's less than that. Or maybe it's like an ebook, or maybe it's a challenge, or maybe it's whatever you can do to get recuperate more cash on the front end. So like that's really the way to make it work. And they did this in the past. So it's just like a ton of upsells right after to try to get more front end cash, which is really smart. And I think that's the only way you can really make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You started as a copywriter. Do you think copywriting is still important for email marketing?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm always surprised. I continue to get shocked every day with copy and how it can impact things. Cause also like I talk so much about like get the bases set up, focus on the high levers, yada yada yada. But then my team will send over like an A/B test of like a headline that they did that resulted in 2 times the amount of revenue. Like this subject line for abandoned cart emails saying your order is ready to ship consistently just doubles revenue across abandoned cart emails. Cause like most cart subject lines are like forgetting something question mark. For some reason, saying like your order is ready to ship just psychologically, it just like tickles the person's brain differently and it gets them to place orders at such a high rate. And so absolutely it's very, very important. And I continue to get surprised by it because I'm always just like levers, like focus on that, like intricate copy stuff isn't going to make a difference, but stuff like that can really make a difference. And so I'm always surprised by it. But yeah, absolutely very, very important. And there are a lot of brands that still run on direct response funnels and long form. And we have a few clients that are like that. And it's great. It's awesome. Works well. Of course, copy is very, very important. Yeah, I mean, how we do copy is different, of course, because now you got AI. But definitely, just as long as you're test your different angles. Like still, like I think that the most important part of any piece of copy or ad or email, whatever, is just like, what's that one angle? What's that banger angle? What's that banger? Like a email on just like, hey, we have healthy dog food. Extend your dog's life with healthy dog food. Like that's like an email. But is that a banger angle? What if we twist that? How can we make this a banger angle? Well, how about instead of feed your dog healthy food, you say, you want your dog to live forever. Why not feed them like it? Some shit like that's a banger angle. It doesn't fucking matter what the rest of the email says. Like if I have that as my headline, like that's gonna fucking rip. Like that's that banger angle. How can we find those banger angles? And so that's where like the high leverage within copy is. And so I think that like people don't read emails word for word, like they and ads and whatnot. Like what's the big idea? What's that? We want our dogs to feed, or like if you wouldn't eat it, why would you feed it to your dog? Like your dog's a family member. Like why feed them like they are? Like shit like that. Like those are the banger angles that you can find. And so finding those specific angles I think is more important than intricate copy. And so that's like whenever I'm writing an ad email, it's just like, what's that fucking one-liner that just makes you like go like, oh damn, fuck yeah, like that. What's that one-liner that makes you just like be like, damn. That's what I'm always trying to think of because I think that's the highest leverage in any piece of content that you put together.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, it's the same with ads.
Yeah.
To end the session, you mentioned you want every Shopify founder to see your face. If you could tell them one thing, like what is one thing that every founder should start doing with their email, and what should they stop doing, except for obviously working with you?
Optimize the fuck out of your pop-up form and test your acquisition offer. Like literally that's it. Like optimize your pop-up form and optimize the offer and so within that is test your offer. So really focus on your list growth. It's going to be the highest leverage for every brand. That's what I would say. Do that. To stop over-segmenting and thinking about segmentation. Like just stop thinking about segmentation. Just keep it dead
just
simple.
Blast it to everyone.
Not blast it to everyone, but I mean just like send to your engaged list. Like a lot of brands, like they try to do like intricate, like, okay, we need to do a VIP send here, and then we need to do an email dedicated just towards people who have viewed creatine in the past 30 days. And then we need to do an email just towards people who wear orange underwear on Thursdays. It's like, that's fucking stupid. Like you could do that, absolutely. but you only have so much time in the day. So it's like, would I rather send an email, hyper targeted email to 20,000 people, a small part of my list, or would I rather send an email to 250,000 people on my list? Maybe it's less targeted, but you have 10x the amount of people on that list. And so even if my conversion rate is 5 times lower on that email, I'm still making more revenue because there's 10 times the amount of people. And so for me, it's 4 emails a week, no matter what, to your engaged, wide, 120-day engaged list. 120-day, and just make good content. People will continue to open. Once you have that, sure, you know what? Throw on more segmented stuff. But I hate it. My biggest pet peeve is when brands are so focused on hyper targeted stuff that they undersend to their engaged list and they leave a shit ton of money on the table. So that's what I would say. And that's where I think a lot of money is left on the table. And stress and thinking, because it's like, fuck, what do I got to do to my list? Like, I need to be segmenting more. Like, no, not really. No, just send good content. Send it consistently, send it a lot. And then if you want to do some extra stuff, cherry on top, then by all means do it. I prefer to segment in my flows, keep my campaigns wide. Within my flows, my abandoned cart, my post-purchase stuff, my whatever, I'm going to be segmenting based on the customer. I'm going to segment based on first-time customer or multi-time customer or churn subscriber. I'll do my customization in there because I only set that up once and it's going to consistently be happening for me. By post-purchase, I'm going to segment based on what the person bought before and I'm going to hit them with specific stuff. I don't need to do it in campaigns consistently because I'm wide there and then people will get customized flows based on where they're at.
This was great. So much value. Where can people follow you and learn more?
Hell yeah. You follow my Instagram, WellCopyMax, and I think my Twitter is the other way around. It's Max WellCopy. And yeah, just find me over there. Just look me up on Google or something, Max Sturtevant. And you just follow me on whatever platform you like.
Awesome. Appreciate you hopping on.
That was so much fun. Thank you for letting me. Yeah, appreciate you having me on. Good chat as always, brother.